Back in episode 3, we focused on how video games tell their stories. Either they use some kind of quest structure, or they're divided into more clear-cut levels. And now we're going to take a closer look at these levels, the design of specific game world areas, and how they push the story forward. We're going down narrow footpaths and we are visiting open islands. My name is Martin Holland and you're watching episode 7 of Dissecting the Gameplay. The level design in a video game is an audiovisual construction of the narrative drive. That might sound a little cryptic, but it simply means that the video game plot, the conflict, the themes are sculpted into the different areas of the game world. These areas are then communicated to us through sound and camera work. That's why this is an excellent place to start a gameplay analysis. Everybody can chip in and point to the screen and comment on what they see and hear. First of all, we can comment on the mood of the level design. Here video games borrow a slew of cinematic elements and use them in mostly the same way. For instance, high-key and low-key lighting can easily create different kinds of atmosphere. The same goes for various colors that can be used deliberately to create or underline some kind of warning, bad omens, or idyllic feelings. And just like films and documentaries can use the music score or sound effects to emphasize visual details, video games can do the exact same thing. Furthermore, when analyzing films, you sometimes include the mise-en-scène in your discussion of mood. That is, the setting and set design play a big role. When analyzing video games, we can also comment on the visual design to evoke a particular mood. For example, weather conditions like rain and thunder and sunshine and dusk, but also the concrete sculpting of the game world in mountains, tall buildings and claustrophobic corridors. All of these elements can inject atmosphere in a video game. The video game becomes its own unique medium since the level design isn't just creating mood, but is also used for interaction. For example, the aforementioned lighting effects and colors can be used to guide the player to choose the right direction. The color of the path through the dark forest is probably a little lighter than the other surroundings, or we might see a clearing through the trees or notice a color of high contrast which calls attention to itself. All of this can nudge us in the right direction to find the next story beat. And at the same time, often you can get your analysis started by commenting on the symbolic use of colors, light and shadows. In much the same way, the music score can also be used to further along the interactive story. The music can signal peace and quiet and no danger if we are home safe and far away from enemies and opponents. On the other hand, music can also warn us that something is about to go horribly wrong, so be prepared.
Man, this night would just not quit.
The same can be said about sound effects, which can inform us whether we are facing a good or bad character. Distant shouts for help can cue us to seek out a new friendly character who might have a quest for us. And likewise, the exaggerated sound of a gun cocking right behind you probably sets all alarm bells ringing and pushes you right into combat. So in many ways, these cinematic elements can both create mood, cue us to interact with the game and push the story forward, but they also constantly help us understand the main character and strengthen the bond between the main character and the player. In this way, there's a lot to learn and analyze here.
But why?
We also have to examine the space of the game world, not just what it looks like on the surface, but the sculpting, the architecture, and the spacious arrangement of the game world itself. To put it very simply, there are two options of designing a level, which is closely related to the narrative principle of the video game. Do we as players have free reign to make our own story in the game?
Anybody here?
Or is the plot and the gaming experience tightly controlled by the game? These two principles are also reflected in different sections of the game world, which can be formed as open islands and narrow footpaths, respectively. Let's look at them one at a time. When a level is designed as a narrow footpath, it means that there is only one way through an area, or maybe the entire level, and the player is forced to go this way. This footpath can be incredibly narrow, which makes the game feel claustrophobic and stressful. For example, when we face a horde of enemies or opponents and can do nothing but confront them. There's simply no room to do anything else. You find the same kind of gaming experience when we have to jump from a narrow ledge to an even smaller platform without falling down. In this way, many games elevate the narrow footpath to an overall principle for all challenges in the game world and the game mechanics that go with them. Other games are designed with a slightly broader footpath. The course through a level may still be one-directed, but the player has space and room to confront challenges, enemies, and opponents in various ways. This makes the gaming experience less intense and less frustrating because the main character/player has more options to work with. At the other end of the scale, we find the open island. That's the level design that matches the player-controlled narration. When we can form the story about the main character freely
secure line of communication,
and choose his or her fate, we probably also have extensive and various options of getting through an area or a level. The open island doesn't have any restrictions, but has been designed for exploration. The player chooses his or her own route, chooses how to deal with enemies and opponents, and in what order to do things. All this freedom means that there's of course also a colossal risk of getting lost if the game world is too open. Or maybe the game will simply become dull because we get too free range. So this is where the cinematic elements, the camera work, lighting, colors, landmarks, music scores, and sound effects suddenly show themselves as all-important guidelines for the gameplay and our gaming experience. Many mainstream video games mix different level designs so that you get through areas that change from stressful, claustrophobic footpaths into wide open, free to explore islands. And by examining the level design up and close, we can also find out which elements, which areas use tight narration and which areas create identification with the main character. My name is still Martin Holland, and in episode 8 of Dissecting the Gameplay, we'll zoom in on the absolute core ingredient of any level and any quest. We're going to look at the challenges of the gameplay, the challenges in the gameplay. That's in episode 8 of Dissecting the Gameplay, which will be available in February after the holidays. Until then, thanks for watching and Happy Christmas.